I didn't want to make a video this week, but then Trump had to go do an executive order about anti-Christian bias and Christian persecution in America. So I had to look at it. We'll keep this one short, but let's talk about this real quick. Okay, so here's our executive order, eradicating anti-Christian bias, which is a huge problem in America. Trump says that by the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution, president by the Constitution, and the laws of the United States of America, it's hereby ordered. Let's see. They got to protect religious freedoms. They got to end the anti-Christian weaponization of the government. The founders, we love the founders. There's some stuff here. The previous administration engaged in an egregious pattern of targeting peaceful Christians while ignoring violent anti-Christian offenses. This sounds really bad. The Biden Department of Justice sought to squelch faith in the public square by bringing federal criminal charges and obtaining, in numerous cases, multi-year prison sentences. Wow, including a Catholic priest and a 75-year-old grandmother. Oh, wow. They were arrested 18 months after praying and singing hymns outside of an abortion facility in Tennessee. That doesn't sound so bad. That if all they were doing was singing and praying outside an abortion facility in Tennessee, but that wasn't all they were doing. You know it and I know it. So let's see what they actually did. Okay, so 6 defendants convicted of federal civil rights conspiracy and freedom of access to clinic entrances act offenses for obstructing access to reproductive health. I just thought they were singing hymns. It says a federal jury convicted 6 defendants today of federal civil rights offenses arising out of their blockade of a reproductive health care clinic in Mount Joliet, I don't care, Tennessee. The defendants were each convicted of a felony conspiracy against rights and a Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act offense. Oh, okay. So they engaged in a conspiracy to prevent the clinic employees from providing and patients from receiving reproductive healthcare services. Oh, so they weren't just singing and doing hymns. They were blocking a healthcare facility for women. That's fun. Evidence at a trial further proved that the defendants violated the FACE Act by using physical obstruction. Who knew that hymns were physical obstruction to interfere with the clinic's employees and a patient because the clinic was providing and the patient sought reproductive health services. These defendants are being held accountable for unlawful obstruction access to reproductive health services. Oh no, is the order wrong? Another article here, 6 activists convicted of illegally blocking abortion clinic in Tennessee. Oh no, they stationed themselves throughout the office building where Care from Health Clinic was located, and they began recording themselves leading a rescue, a term commonly known amongst anti-abortion activists as dissuading women from obtaining an abortion. They blocked the clinic's entrances and others attempting to engage with the police as a delay tactic. Oh, that sounds really, really cool. Oh, and look at this. There's an uptick in cases. Blah, blah, blah. Harassment and violence towards in abortion clinics have faced since state abortion bans have been allowed to go into effect. Abortion providers across the U.S. saw noticeable spikes in the number of death threats, stalkings, burglaries, and arson compared with the year prior. Okay, so let's get back to our executive order here. At the same time, Catholic churches, charities, and pro-life centers sought justice for violence, theft, and arson. Okay, that sounds scary, right? I wonder what was up with that. Statue destroyed, church vandalized. That's not always fun. Gold rose from 9/11 memorial stolen. That's a pretty big affront against God. We had some signs vandalized, some fires. A statue got smashed. That's like not cool. A spray painted statue. Pro-life banner spray painted. That feels like a real pointed Christian attack right there. Catholic pro-life pregnancy center vandalized with red paint. Oh shit. Playground equipment and shed vandalized. That's pretty serious. And to be clear, some of that stuff sounds bad, but I'm just saying, to me that doesn't sound like large-scale persecution against Christians. It doesn't really sound like that. I mean, also, I just got to say with the Catholic thing, this isn't good, but the Catholic Church has done some stuff. They've done some stuff and covered up some stuff, which isn't the best. Goes on to say, my administration will not tolerate anti-Christian weaponization of government or unlawful conduct targeting Christians. The law protects the freedom of Americans and groups in America to practice their faith in peace. You got to do that. Here's all the big boys that will enforce it. And I'm not a Bible whiz, but it does say in the Bible, bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. There's a lot of other stuff about this that talks about how you will be persecuted for your faith. Pray for those who persecute you. Bless those who persecute you. There's not a lot that says use legal and state mechanisms to inflict justice upon those who you deem as persecuting you. But someone can tell me in the comments if that's what this really means. Oh, I missed this before. I want to also note that one of the things that I protect against is that Christians were forced to affirm radical transgender ideology against their faith. They're literally saying that Christians are being persecuted because other people are trans, and those people are simply just saying hey, let me be trans. And they're saying, no, it's persecuting me when you say that you're trans and that I have to acknowledge that you're trans even though it doesn't harm me at all. That's the example they're giving for persecution here. Now, I told myself I would keep this quick, so just a few thoughts on this because I couldn't help myself here. Are Christians being persecuted in America? No. And let me tell you why. You could argue, let's say, that some of the people referenced here, like our friends in Tennessee that did hymns and then physically blocked women's access to healthcare, that they're being persecuted, right? But they're not being persecuted for being Christians. They're not being persecuted for works of faith. They're being persecuted for being racist and fascist and transphobic and homophobic and hateful and blocking women's entrance to healthcare. They're being persecuted for not acknowledging that some people are trans, even if they don't like it or queer or whatever. But they're not being persecuted for doing anything that is inherently Christian. And if anything, Christians, or at least those sort of self-identified Christians, are the ones persecuting. They're persecuting trans kids. They're persecuting migrants, even teachers, academics, anyone who's woke or whatever any of this means. And the wild thing is, it would be good if Christians were persecuted for being Christians. And by that, I mean if churches and faith organizations were getting together to create sanctuaries for migrants and trans kids and queer kids, if they were using their resources to feed the needy and provide housing for those who need it, if they were getting together to sort of be against the forces of empire and oppression. And I know some Christian groups have historically and are currently doing this sort of stuff, but that's what it would mean to be persecuted for being a Christian in a more classical sense. But what these folks are doing and what the Trump administration wants to do is follow a Constantinian model where faith is wedded to the power of the state and it is wielded as a weapon to force and convert. And those who do not convert, right, they get hit with the sword, whether it's the real sword or the legal sword. So let me know what you think about this. As always, thanks for supporting me on Patreon. It lets me keep doing stuff like this, and I want to do it more. But the real deal here is that there's no end in sight. They're going to keep doing stuff like this. And I would just say, if you are a Christian, if you're someone that cares about this stuff, you should probably be pissed that this is happening in your name and in the name of your communities. I don't know. If you got it in you, maybe do something to fight it. In the meantime, I'm going to go try to stay distracted and wait till 5 p.m. to drink. I hope you do the same. I'll see you guys soon.